Who is Kelly Lynn? Wait, that was a real guy? I thought I dreamed that. Oh, I hope he doesn't use that one part.
Welcome back to Who is Kelly Lynn? I am Kelly Lynn. What that means, I have no idea. Just a guy trying to figure out what he wants to be when he grows up. One of those things I always thought I wanted to be was a stand-up comedian. I think I'm pretty funny. I'm not sure if my wife agrees with me or any of my friends or anybody I've ever told a joke to be honest with you, but I think I'm funny, and that is all that matters. But today's guest is comedian Josh Firestine. He is from the hit show Louder with Crowder. He is third chair and co-host on that show. They do some great stuff. And here what we discuss with where we're at in 2024. In 2024, the most trusted news source I go to it comes from comedians at Louder with Crowder. They actually do a fantastic job providing you with the most vital news that affects your life in the nation. They do some deep dive undercover stories. It's just a really good political take, and it's honest, and they provide all their sources up front. And it's crazy to think that this is where I get my trusted news from. Comedians, Louder with Crowder, Josh Firestine. I just went and recently saw him, and we did this interview at the Oklahoma City, the Bricktown Comedy Club there in Oklahoma City, I do mean to say. And did this in the green room. He was fantastic. I'm a big fan. I make that pretty clear during this interview. I hold nothing back. Like I said, this is where I get my main news source from. So actually being able to sit down with one of these guys from that show, it was a pretty amazing opportunity. I think it was a really good interview. I hope you'll enjoy it. He's also an Army Ranger and a veteran. He has a stand-up special out now called American. You can find on YouTube and Mug Club for those Louder with Crowder fans. Hope you enjoy it. It was a great interview. We had a great time, and he put on a heck of a show for the comedy. It was great. Appreciate you. Check this out. Josh Firestine from Louder with Crowder.
It's good to be here doing comedy. It's a lot better than my last job. My last job was the Army. I was in the Army for 8.5 years, and okay, sure, cool. Sure. 8.5 years. People don't believe me because I'm fat now, and that's fair. It hurts, but it's fair. I'm always like, yeah, I was in the Army. They're like, you, Army? No, Arby's, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, bombs and bullets, not you. Beef and cheddar? I'll take 2. Thank you very much. Just throw some horsey sauce in the bag, whatever that stuff is. I was an Army Ranger too. No one ever believes that. Like, really, dude? Army Ranger? Army Park Ranger at best. Look at you. You didn't search for Taliban, you searched for picnic baskets. Where's Boo Boo?
I'm actually concerned. People who hate Donald Trump, that he's going to ban interracial marriage and assign you to a white person. Comment below.
Line up for your white man.
Yes, white boys, right over here. Tons of white boys.
Please find your corresponding white man.
Yes.
Ridiculous because it deserves ridiculous. That statement deserves ridiculous. Like the idea, first of all, did it any interracial marriage? Okay, God. Oh, what? Maybe we misheard her. She meant, immigrants. Immigrant interracial. Well, doesn't a married immigrant have like protection? It's all ridiculous.
Josh Firestine.
Yes, sir.
Hey, nice to meet you.
You Kelly.
You were on Who is Kelly Lynn. You're probably wondering who the hell is Kelly Lynn because you have no idea who I am, but we do appreciate
Well,
you.
I was, you're more beautiful than I imagined a Kelly would be, so.
Hey, I'll take that all day long. I will take that all day long. You're here in Oklahoma City to do a show here at Bricktown Comedy Club.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to that here in a little bit. We appreciate you having us.
Yeah.
But because of that, I was coming to this regardless because I wanted to see it. I won't lie to you. I'm a little bit of a fan of the show, Louder with Crowder, and you're third chair, co-host of that show. I say where we're at right now, it's a little bit crazy that I'm not, it depends who you're asking, but I'd say I'm not some rube from the sticks.
Right.
Even though I am from the sticks, but I have,
Yes, I know, I can tell you,
I have a little bit of an education I've been around the world a little bit experienced this, a little bit in that. But my trusted source of news in the world comes from comedians on Louder with Crowder, and you're a part of that. And I think that you've been a great addition to that.
Well, thank you. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been watching it since I think, to be honest with you, my friend shared his page with me, his password back in 2016 before I hey, it was when I was going to Afghanistan. He was like, hey, yeah, take this with you. And I watched it. And then when I got back, I became a Mug Club member and have been ever since.
Wow, that was the early days. That's when Steven had just started doing the show, I think, back in 2016.
It was somewhere.
So right in the early days.
It was right.
You've seen the whole
around.
growth of the show. How
Yeah,
fun is
it's been
that?
great. And it's gotten down to where, literally, but I'm nothing against you guys, but maybe against me. It is where news. It's where I trust y'all as sources.
It's not you or us. It's the mainstream media. You can't trust them. No one can trust them anymore. It doesn't matter what channel it is. It doesn't matter if it's the liberal channel or if it's the so-called conservative channel. You don't get the truth from them ever. Well, maybe on the holidays. So and so passed away. This is gonna be Columbus. Wait, no, wrong. Sorry. Also fake.
And it's crazy. And I've worked some in the media, not so much out in front of the media, but when I was younger, I worked for some companies decent companies that everybody would know that signed my paycheck. And I fell in love with some of the process, but it was like really actually getting stories and doing actual journalism. And it was none of this stuff that it's turned into where
it's headline news. That's all it is. And what's funny is CNN had a network called Headline News, HLN. That's all that was for. And then they shut down because they went broke. And now that's all it is. That's all the mainstream media is. It's all headline news, clickbait, basically, rumors. Someone said.
That's exactly what it is. It is clickbait because a lot of times, I have some apps that just send headlines across my phone of different news stories and whatnot, and that's also how I get my major headlines. If I see several stories related to this, maybe I got to go check it out and see what's happening in the world on this. But a lot of them are this sensational headlines, and you click on it, and the story's nothing like that. And then you go look elsewhere, and you're like, what are they talking about? But they made their buck from me. They're selling it to advertisers. Look how many people are clicking on this, how many people are seeing your product, because this dummy over here clicked on it. And that's not news. It's not journalism.
No.
So, it's just amazing to me that
it's just media.
I'm going to comedians. Comedians are my most trusted source.
You shouldn't have to, is the point, right?
I know, but it's just crazy. And then I watch Nick's show just because.
You're trying to get fired up every night. They say you shouldn't go to bed angry. Thankfully, Nick DiPaolo's show is on in the evening.
Yes. But his is just the pure entertainment of his show, which he covers some topics too, though, that you're like, holy crap, and he'll cover some stuff that is not on your show.
He does great at that. He does great at the kind of the follow-up show. We're in the morning, he's in the afternoons, evenings, and he usually has a different set of stories, or at least different takes. So he really cares about that. He cares about having a different product, especially being on the Mug Club Network. So
well, y'all are putting out. Like I said, I say it again, it's where I go to. So y'all are putting out a great product. I have limited time with all the crazy things I do in life, and I used to be a junkie that would sit there no matter where I was at. I'd have Fox News or something playing in the background.
I think you meant like heroin.
No, well, many moons ago. I can't even put on any of the newses now. I know that y'all watch the CNN because y'all are gathering the information all the time, but to sit there and for it to try to be my information source when it's just one side, they'll put up somebody else just to be talking heads, battling back and forth, babbling about nonsense, and then they're like, who won that? And then it just move on to the next story, and
it's all filler.
All that news is for entertainment. It's a dying media because I'll go as far as saying COVID was almost a good thing for some aspects of life, besides all the tragedy of deaths, mental health and stuff like that. It made the scales fall off of people's eyes.
Definitely opened things up. Definitely took the veil off a lot of things.
And think of that going forward for our whole future, how there's no trust in institutions at any level, hardly at all, especially on a federal level, very few. But there shouldn't be. It's
That's what I
not
was
that
gonna say,
there's not
it's-
trust. There shouldn't be trust.
I think it's a good thing that you want to have some trust. You know, you want to trust that you don't have to think about it every day. You want to trust that you don't have to worry about it when you go to bed. You want to trust that you can send your kids to school and not have to worry about it. But you should have skepticism.
Yeah.
Right? You should have at least a little bit. Watching the Loud and Crowd, you should have skepticism. That's why we provide all the sources on every episode. That's why we have an admonish button. We correct ourselves when we're wrong. That you have to have some sort of skepticism, at least for a healthy life. If they're not skeptical about anything and everything's all happy, joy all the time, something's wrong. Something is terribly wrong, and you can't see it.
Well, I'm sure you're a little bit like me. How old are you?
34.
34. And when did you join the military?
I joined in 07, September of 07, and then got out in 16, so it was 8.5 years.
Yeah, we joined that same year when I went in, a few months before you, just a couple months.
I joined on 9/11, and it wasn't like some ceremonious thing. I tell people, I hate telling people that, if they ask, because it's like, they go, oh, that's cheesy. I'm like, no, I just couldn't pass a drug test. That was it. I tried to join in August, and they were like, you've been smoking weed? I said, a few weeks ago. And they go, all right, we'll take the test again in a couple more weeks. And then ended up being September 11th when I shipped out.
That's
and got the
hilarious.
basics. But, yeah.
But I'm sure at that time, at some point in your life, and most of my young life, I had this idea in America and USA, awesome and good, and the government's there. You had a faith of, man, we're the good guys, and I can't look at our government now. I think, man, how did we ever get the government filled with all these jokers that have totally erased that idea from my head? I still believe in the idea of America, the people of America, but the institutions have a lot to correct. Mm-hmm. To get us back to where I want to feel like I did in 1980s, whether it was an illusion or not. But America seemed, we had something against us. The Cold War was looming and whatever. It was rah troops, American flag, be all you can be all the time. Russia against America in the Olympics. Everybody, all that kind of stuff. We weren't so far apart.
Yeah.
On both sides. Now we're split.
Well, I think what happened was that they realized they can't make money off us being friends. They can't make money off us being united. They really can't. They thought they were going to do it. They did. They did for a little bit. And then we all caught on to the neocon plan in the early 2000s after the 2 wars and stuff. And so I think people they lost trust because of what they did. The money thing. They all make money off of all this fighting, all this news coverage, all the wars that they have. They have stock in the companies that go, and they have stock in the companies that sell the weapons to Ukraine. They have stock in the companies that sell to Israel. They have stock in the companies that sell to the tiniest little, guerrilla forces in South America or in Africa. They're all making money off of it, and they realize that they can make a lot more money here if they perpetuate this, this lie about DC outsiders like Trump coming in and changing the way we do things when, he's absolutely right about having to, reform with all these different 3-letter agencies, all these NGOs, all, stuff like term limits for Congress members, all that stuff that they didn't want to be brought up by anybody, all of a sudden got brought up. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the Rogan interview yet. I saw half of it, but the beginning of it, what I really loved was what he did. We even go off topic, but he did talk about how he came in and was an outsider, and he didn't know anything, didn't know anybody, and got set up for failure, and still succeeded, and yeah, that's one of the things I love about him is that kind of attitude about, he's like, if you're not getting the job done, we're going to get the job done regardless, so you got to go. Yeah. I love that the debate when you brought that up with Kamala, when Kamala said something and about him, about all the people who had worked for him and didn't work for him, got fired or quit or whatever. And he goes, well, that's the difference between us. I fire people when they do a bad job. You don't fire anybody.
Yeah, and I will say that from my perspective, and I want to go watch it again because I was listening to it and it was kind of late when it came out and I was kind of fall asleep. But it was one of the more.
Trump he was going off topic a bit.
But
it was like listening to your grandpa.
I know, but
like
it was
falling
more
through your grandpa's
humanizing.
story. Yeah, but
it was a more humanizing thing than any of the other ones that I've seen because you know him saying, "Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing."
Rogan's pushing back. He's saying, "Hey, we gotta get on topic." He's like, "Hey, well, what about this? What about that?" And there's a bit of how do you say candidness? Candidacy?
Yes.
What's the word?
Candidness.
You
said it. You said it just a second.
Not candidacy. That's something else. Candidness. Well, if I can, I knew I dated a girl named Candidness in middle school. She didn't wear deodorant. It was disgusting.
It might be my type. Check her out there. She'll love to see that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So you're on Louder with Crowder now, but while we do have time, let's go back to the beginning. You normal kid, are you from Washington State?
No, I was actually born and raised in San Diego, and just before high school, my dad got a job with U.S. Customs. We moved out to Yuma, Arizona, finished out high school there. My parents got divorced. When I was 17, they started getting separated. My dad went out to Syria to be a contractor, and I had to figure out something with my life. I wasn't a great student. I was a real good baseball player, but not good enough, not hardworking enough, didn't get any scholarships. And so I kind of didn't know what to do with my life and graduated at 17. I said, I got to go do something because I can't keep cooking these weird square burgers at Wendy's anymore. By the way, they say fresh, never frozen, not the chili. The chili is yesterday's burgers. Anyways, let that cat out of the bag. So I joined the Army at 17, and then by the time it was like a week after my 19th birthday, I was deployed for my first time to Afghanistan. And then did that for 8 years and called it quits. Got out and started doing comedy before I got out. I was doing comedy for about 2 years while still in the Army. That was rough. So I was doing open mics in Seattle like 11 o'clock at night before I had time to get a set in, doing 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or whatever it is, not doing well because I wasn't doing comedy, and then driving an hour back to the base just to wake up at 4:30 to get, because I was a squad leader. I had to get up with the boys and do some PT and stuff, and so I did that, and then got out of the Army, and then did some couple odd jobs doing comedy, and now I've been doing it full time for a few years. So, and
well, can I tell you real quick about my? I don't know if I should tell this or not, but about my.
I think you should.
Open mic.
Oh, okay. How'd that go?
Now, I cannot remember if this was at around Fort Bliss in El Paso or if it was down around Waco. I can't remember which comedy club, but I just found a comedy club. I was like,
it's a comic strip in El Paso. I don't know about Waco, but
I don't. Maybe
that's it.
All I did was find one using the interwebs, and it said open mic. I was like, I'm gonna go do this. I was one of the first ones there, and I was one of the first ones to get called up, and did my best. And
let's hear one of the jokes.
No, I'm not. I will tell you that I was talking about my grandmother from South, Granny Myrtle, that actually picked cotton and cooked hot jowls and greens and things like that. Turns out I was in a black comedy club, and they would have came out faster. And I mean, I could not get an Uber faster out of this joker.
I was just so embarrassed, huh?
Well, you know, it kind of fell a little flat.
Sure.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, they'll let you know.
Like, little crickets, and there was a little bit more than crickets, like boo and F you and get out of here, white boy. All right, see you later.
I'm sorry I ruined your Black Panther party.
Yes, but one of these days I swear I'm going to do it again, but we'll see.
You should try it. I think it's healthy to do it, even if you don't have a ambition or a goal for a career with it. I think open mic comedy is fun, and other comics are going to hate me for saying that. They're like, dude, don't encourage people to do this. But I think it's fun. It doesn't bother me none if somebody goes up and bombs. It bothers me. I think it's funny. I love it, actually. It's like karaoke to me. I think everyone should do karaoke at least once in their life. Put yourself out there. Be vulnerable. Give yourself a chance to get embarrassed and have fun while you're doing it. Comedy is exactly the same thing, except for you have to write the jokes yourself.
Yes.
And when you don't do well, it's not because you can't sing, it's because you're an idiot and you have bad ideas and no one likes you.
That's true. Hey, I live that every day of my life, so whatever. That's nothing new, and that's not a very good deterrent to keep me away. So, I mean, that's basically sums it up. Somehow my wife's still hanging around. I can't figure that one out yet.
I do. I know why.
So, all right, you did the Army, got out, did comedy.
Yeah.
Give me real quick, how was your path to Crowder?
Well, we met up through a comedy club. He was playing a comedy club in Washington, Spokane, Washington. It's a fairly conservative area, but there's not a huge talent pool there. And they needed somebody to open for him for 4 shows, but they needed somebody who can work for his audience, which is typically Christian conservative folks, and they don't want all the curse words, and they want a clean show, and they don't really want to be bashed by a liberal comedian up there. And not that that's what everybody does, but most of Washington is their comedy pool is quite liberal, and it shows in their material, and it just might not be the best act. Nothing against them, a lot of great comics, but it's just not the best act to go with Steven Crowder's crowd. And so they called a few people, and they were unavailable, and then they called me.
Hey, well, I tell you, I think you've been knocking it out of the park. Like I said, I've been watching since about the beginning of when they've been doing it. And maybe not back when he was, I don't even know what he was doing back when he talks about like 2011 on YouTube.
He was just doing videos. It wasn't a daily show, but yeah.
Yeah, I hijacked my buddy's password and login when I was going overseas and watched it. Like I said, even way back then, and it's about the only cup I drink my coffee out of, to be honest with you.
It's a good cup. It's a good mug. The only complaint I would have is that I like a 4-finger mug. I like to be able to put all 4 fingers in the handle. So you get 3 fingers though. It's pretty good for a mug. Most mugs are 2, some are 3. But yeah, that's the only. It's a nice mug though.
You need a full hand handle mug.
Yeah, I like that. No, I like like a good, like almost like a Stein handle.
It needs to be a murder weapon as well.
Yes,
it's much more.
Or, yeah.
I mean, I get you. So y'all have tons of stuff coming up that I'm excited about. You have the election.
Yes. Election live stream of the century. Right. The Rumble on Rumble, November 5th. We will be live streaming until the election is over. Until we have a winner, we will be streaming. So we have Steven Crowder obviously will host. We have our number 2, our CEO, Gerald Morgan, will be there. For a lot of the time, he'll also be working with our researchers. He's heavy into the research for that show. A lot of people don't realize how much work that Gerald does behind the scenes. But he'll be doing that. And then we'll have Nick DiPaolo on until he falls asleep with a chicken leg in his mouth. And then I'll take over probably, and we'll go overnight or whatever. But yeah, we're all set. We got a lot of things we're doing. We got a lot of tools we're using, trying to be better than the mainstream media this year. Which I mean, it's hard to do. They've got all these big budgets and stuff, and we've got a lot of things ready. So that's what we're doing, and we hope you join us. But yeah,
no, it's awesome, and it's amazing what. I'll go back. I don't mean to just harp on this, but what is like a comedy show that has political commentary has now become a force. Even with its undercover stuff that's breaking stories and getting all kinds of, it's become a force. And the vision behind it, it's the best vehicle to me because I'm getting entertainment. It's not just some stiffs.
We want to bore you to death.
Yeah. And so I love comedy, and I would say that most of the comedy is right up my alley. I mean, I'm a juvenile that gets your
We're pretty immature at times, which is most times. But
here's what I'll say, and this is what I always claim. Beavis and Butthead came out about my freshman year, the summer before my freshman year. But I swear to God, every man I know that was around that age, that is where their maturity level stopped, is when Beavis and Butthead came out. And I'm not through maturity level.
How old are you?
45.
45? Okay, so a little older. Yeah, they say that for like, you might be in the millennials. Are you the millennial still, or are you Gen X?
Gen X.
Gen X. They say with millennials that we have like this weird developmental issue with us because when we were all kids, we saw 3,000 people die live on TV. And so, I don't know, you were a teenager at that time. Maybe there's an effect there as well, but I definitely see it with the millennial generation. we're resilient and we're tough when we need to be at times, but there is a thing that kind of like stunted our growth at a certain point where we woke up one morning and we watched 3,200 people die on live television. That's something that no other generation really had experienced before. World War II, I guess they had the movies and stuff, but it wasn't live on TV. But yeah, a little bit of a stunted growth there. I think that my comedy is the same way. It's the maturity's a little stunted, the emotional intelligence is stunted, but we're all the kids. As I said, the kids are all right.
I know everybody's working out.
Right.
Everybody has the thing. Think of these kids that were going through the COVID. I have no doubt that that's going to have some more residual long-term effects eventually from when their world was just totally
hands down,
especially during those real impressionable ages.
For sure. Yeah.
So, real quick before we let you get out of here, because I know we're already probably past the show start time.
Yep, show just started. So, they started the video at least. So,
one last question, just for my own thing. How, working with Nick DiPaolo, is it just chops busting constantly?
No, not necessarily. Yes, yeah, we bust chops, but it's like it's me and Steven are the only comics in there. In the building, and a lot of times Steven's off doing something else. So it might be just me and Nick hanging out, and he busts my balls, but he's not always on. It's
comes in waves, does it?
Yeah, I think part of it is like he's in the environment where it's not all just comics. He don't want to bust everybody's balls. That he doesn't really know them that well, or they're they're an editor or a researcher or something. So he kind of takes it easy, but he definitely does it to me. It's even better when he has an audience. When he has an audience, it's me and him and a bunch of other people around. He'll definitely lay into me. Like one time he said, I said something about a sketch. He goes, "Oh yeah, real great that one. It's a real great sketch." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah." He goes, "You should be on SNL." And I go, "Well, I mean, I would submit a packet, but I don't think they would accept me." He goes, "No, nonsense. I'll get my friend Norm to give you a recommendation." And I go, "Okay, well, fuck you,
That's hilarious.
But no, he is a sweet guy, and we bust ball. When we get on the camera, he busts. I had to one time he hosted. Steven had to leave or do something, and he hosted. And I was trying to get joke. And Steven, when I get a joke, and Steven will stop talking. He'll let the joke come in, and then he'll tag on the joke, and we'll go back and forth. But Nick is by the time I say my second word, Nick already has a response, and it's just every time I try to punch in, it's like, "Oh yeah, is that what he said?"
Give me one more inside baseball. Give me some kind of side story, a prank that you can let out of the bag, or something from the show that a fan would want to know. I think I'm a pretty big fan. Give me some kind of inside scoop that ain't gonna get you in trouble.
I don't know. The bottles are not real. The glass bottles that the magician breaks on my head. They're just sugar. They're just sugar.
No joke, huh? All right. Well, we'll let you get to it. We know you got a show here going on. We thank you for all of your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking time with us, and cool. We'll get this to you when we get it done. All right.
All righty. Cool.
Hey, thank you.